Good morning. Happy Friday. Friday. It's Friday when, whatever, however he says it. Oh, let me see if I'm live. Always trying to get myself live. I got to figure out a better intro for this for you guys. I am so not the kind of person that wants to have some fancy intro. And if it's echoing, I apologize. I'm actually in my office area that I keep telling myself I'm going to work on. And I am slowly working on my office area. If you're watching the YouTube, I have you see that whiteboard I got behind me? Oh, yeah. Trying to get myself more official or officiated. Let me see if anybody's live on Instagram. See, make sure y'all can hear me okay. Actually, I can just all right, cool. I can see and hear myself. Okay. All right. So happy Friday. As I already mentioned, I want to talk today a lot about gut stuff. And mostly because it's shown up a lot for me over the last going on, let's see, April, May, June. So this is like 12 weeks in. And it's crazy because I've always had like some gut stuff going on, but it's always just come and gone. It never had it gotten to a place where it was like, all right, there's something seriously systemic going on. And I think it's really important to look at what could be going on with the gut because if you're like me, you kind of just like deal with it. I had been kind of just dealing with it for quite a long time. And oftentimes we look at the gut like the gut's the problem, but the gut is actually normally a symptom that some other things are going on. And over the last 12 weeks, I have had to really, really, really dive into some like nerdy stuff because I've been trying to figure it out with what's going on in my body. And it's just kind of really forced me to learn a little bit more about how the body works and diving into things that I'm going to be honest, I was kind of like, I kind of just brushed off as not very important for myself because I think if you're, and this is really targeted towards those of you guys that are, I would like to call you a high achiever. You're somebody who doesn't know how to slow down. You kind of just keep going, 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 whether it's in the gym, whether it's in life, or a combination of the two. And you just kind of write your gut off like, oh, I'm just going to deal with it. And I did that for a long time. And it finally caught up with me. And my gut had been screaming at me for a long time. And I was not listening because it was just kind of like, a dull it's kind of like you have a fire alarm or smoke alarm going off in your house because the battery's dead, but it's been going off for like months and you don't even notice it anymore. But the person that walks in your house are like, hey, what's that noise? That's kind of what it feels like because you don't really even notice it. It's not really bothering you until one day it starts bothering you. So if you are somebody who deals with any kind of gut related issues, food sensitivities, even things that you wouldn't consider gut issues, but people have told you are linked to your gut, whether it's eczema, like skin issues, hair, skin, and nail issues, anything like that, brain fog that people tell you it might be your gut. There are a lot of things that you guys might not even realize are impacting it that are pretty simple to fix. And I want to start by taking a sip of my coffee by going over the first thing that people normally go to because this was me. Okay. I have this gut problem, and everything in me was like, cut out XYZ foods. I was like, don't eat gluten, don't eat dairy. Should I go no carb, go on a carnivore diet? Because I had done so much research on all of the things that it could be when the doctors weren't diagnosing me. I'm like, it could be SIBO, it could be leaky gut, it could be neither of those things, it could be a blockage, it could be so many things related to my gut or hormones that I'm like, okay, well, the solution to all of them is just like everything was saying, just cut out these foods. And before I did that, I had to really well, first and foremost, it was really hard not to just jump into a restrictive diet because that would have been the easy thing for me to do. However, for me, I had anorexia when I was younger, and anorexia plus orthorexia, if I really wanted to label myself, which I don't like doing. But for me, I had restricted a lot of different foods from my diet, and I was under eating significantly. And I knew that for me, going on any kind of a restrictive diet could potentially trigger those thoughts and feelings again. And I never want to feel as bad as I did in that time of my life ever again. So, whenever it comes to making dietary changes, I always do them with caution because I don't want to ever feel the way that I felt in that time of my life. So, before jumping into any kind of extreme diets, I recognized that There were clearly foods my body was not tolerating. I could clearly tell the difference when I had a bowl of oatmeal, how my body would feel afterwards versus if I didn't have the bowl of oatmeal, right? Like I could definitely tell there was a difference. And there was a period of time where I was actually a little afraid to eat anything, and I had to kind of force myself to eat. And that's actually what I'm going to talk to you guys about today, because this was the biggest thing that helped me in this period. And it did not require me to restrict my foods specifically to any specific foods. Okay. But what I really wanted to get at here is, if you think you have food sensitivities, unless you have a food allergy, like a peanut allergy where you get some kind of anaphylactic shock or something like that, which we can even go into, where that is an immune response. It's not even the gut that's causing the issue. That's an immune response. But unless you have a specific food allergy, okay, removing foods from your diet is not going to fix the problem. It is simply getting rid of the symptoms. And I could have went on a restrictive diet and likely would have alleviated some symptoms. The reason I didn't is because I knew the second I added foods back in, the problem would come back if I did not address the root cause. And this is where I want to save you a ton of money, because I did reach out to quite a few very smart individuals. And in that moment, I would have paid anybody to give me relief. I would have paid anybody telling me that they have the solution to why I was fucking 6 months pregnant or I looked 6 months pregnant, and why I like felt like absolute garbage, and why working out all of a sudden make me instantly bloated, and why I had this weird swelling, and why I just felt like I couldn't eat anything without feeling sick. I would have paid anybody to give me answers to all of that stuff and fix it right then and there. But before I did that, I recognized that I needed to look more into what was going on with my body. I trusted myself enough as a practitioner who is in the field of nutrition and medicine and function. I'm not a doctor, but I freaking deal with a lot of women who have a lot of problems that their doctors aren't addressing. So I knew enough to know that I could do my own research and figure things out before jumping into anything. Okay. So I'm going to give you exactly what is going on if you are somebody who is struggling with food sensitivities, gut issues that you might not even be realizing are causing the problem. Because if you're going to, now, by all means, if you go the route of I'm cutting these foods out, there's also nothing wrong with that. That was just not for me. And I want to make it clear that that is not fixing the problem. It is alleviating the symptom. Okay. So it's making you feel more comfortable. It's kind of like saying, like, you have a fracture in your foot. The fracture's, there, but if you take Advil, the pain might go away, right? So like the fracture's not getting fixed from the Advil, but the Advil's alleviating the pain. It's the same thing, right? If I don't walk when I have a fracture, I'm not causing the stress on my foot, so it's not going to hurt as bad. That's what happens when you don't eat those foods. The foods aren't removing the problem, and that's what I'm going to get into today, okay? Because I think that even in the functional nutrition, the functional medicine world, the root cause world, they're still not giving you guys the simple things that you need to hear, and you end up paying thousands and thousands of dollars on all of this testing that leads you back to the exact same problem. And I'm going to talk about that today. All right, so let's talk about what the actual problem is. What is the root cause of gut dysfunction? There are, I want to say, 3 main things that cause gut dysfunction. And the first one is going to be, I should say that one for last, but I'm going to put it first. The first one is going to be, I want to say obvious, but not so obvious, because it's the reason. However, you don't know what to do about it. So you kind of like look at other things. All right. It's the elephant in the room. You are too stressed. Too stressed. Hands down, 100% too stressed. I am not talking about the stress of answering emails and going to work and not talking or not sleeping enough or having fights with your family. That is all stress. But you know what else is stress? Literally not ever not stressing. Okay. What I mean by that is, in between all of that stuff, you are stimulating your brain with other things to numb yourself. Okay. Your brain is never shutting off. So you go from being stressed at work to I'm going to scroll through social media, or I'm going to be looking in the pantry to figure out what foods I'm going to eat, or I'm going to be, maybe you're having a drink or two, or I'm going to be, it's my downtime, but instead of relaxing, I'm going to get XYZ chores done because I want to feel productive. You are constantly, constantly, constantly giving your body the signals that it's always on. It's always working and it's never stopping. When we think about the nervous system, we have the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. You are keeping your body in the constant state of being sympathetic in that fight or flight. It doesn't have to be, oh my God, I'm screaming at my kids right now. Stress is at the 10th degree. It's the underlying chronic stress you are living in. I am a I am the biggest offender of this because all of my downtime is always I don't feel stressed. It's just constantly doing. There's always something that I could be doing. And if I'm not doing, then I'm not being productive. And I don't feel bad doing that. It's how I feel best getting through my day. But that's not actually giving my body any rest. And this has a huge impact on your gut because you have something called your enteric nervous system, and that is directly related to what state your central nervous system is in. Okay. So, one of the big things that you have to identify here is how much time you are actually allowing yourself to not be stimulated. Okay. Let's change the word stress to stimulation. How much time do you spend not being stimulated? It is so hard. In fact, yesterday, I was at a doctor's appointment and the doctor's appointment went way too long. And after the doctor's appointment, I had like an hour and I had another appointment. And I was like, what am I going to do with this hour? So I tried to like call to get the appointment moved up because I was like, why couldn't I just relax for an hour and maybe go browse TJ Maxx or do something relaxing or just sit there for a little bit? Because it was uncomfortable to think about wasting time. Right? Like that's what we need to talk about. So stress is number one. Okay. Number two, the second root cause are your eating habits. I'm not talking about the foods you're eating. I'm talking about the way you eat. Okay. There are a lot of different things that can fall under this category. So I'm going to go over a couple of the main ones. Number one is drinking fluids with your meals. This sounds really stupid, but I was the person that like I am always thirsty. So I would finish a big meal and I would suck down a 30, 40 ounce thing of water with my Crystal Light in it. Right? Like I would just suck it down and I would feel instantly like full, but I didn't think about how that was impacting my gut. That is actually diluting my stomach acids and my digestive enzymes, making it harder for my body to digest foods and absorb foods. Okay, so drinking with your meals. Now, I'm not telling you to like be so thirsty, right? Have some sips of water, but you should be just drinking a little bit. You should be getting more of your hydration in between meals. Number two is one that I know you know if you're like me and you're always on the go. It's literally eating on autopilot that you don't even realize you already finished your meal. You eat so quickly that you didn't even realize the food was on your plate. Like it's gone before you even put it on there. This is me 90% of the time. And it took me a little while to recognize that I had to slow down when I was eating because your digestion starts in your mouth. And these are common sense things that I knew, but didn't give them enough credit. I was the nutrition coach equivalent to the woman that like knows I know calories matter, but I don't really want to track my calories. Okay. I knew that like eating fast is a bad habit, but I made excuses. I'm too effing busy to sit here and be mindful of my food. Well, it bit me in the ass finally. Okay. So slowing down your meals, sometimes that means you might have to simplify your meals if you don't have a lot of time to eat, right? Don't eat a huge salad when you literally have 2 minutes between meetings. All right. You're not trying to shovel it in. It's like, maybe that is where you're like just having a little bit of grilled chicken and you're going to save the salad for later, right? That's a big, big problem. Number three, well, another eating habit, I shouldn't say number three because we're still on eating habits. Another eating habit is not having enough time between your meals. So I have a high calorie diet and I found myself eating, especially between the hours of 2 and 6, like every hour. I was like trying to get something in to try and get my calories in. That isn't very good for your gut motility and allowing your body, your digestive system to actually cleanse itself. And this can lead to issues with things like small intestinal bacterial overgrowth and other things. So we want to make sure that you're having ideally 3 hours between your meals. But the main thing is avoiding a lot of grazing throughout the day. You shouldn't be just grazing all day. You want to make sure that you have good spacing. In fact, I bet your gut feels best, because I know mine does, if I went 3 to 4 hours since my last meal. Okay, so trying to space your meals out a little bit is a huge one. Eating too frequently, always putting food in the hatchet, is actually slowing down your digestion, which is also impacting things. And then another one is eating large meals altogether, getting all of your nutrition in like 1 or 2 meals. This wasn't really me. I was kind of more of the, like, I kind of spaced it out a little bit, but needed to space it out a little bit more. But for those of you guys that just like eat like, a freaking pound of meat at a sitting, your body's having a lot of digestive stress trying to digest all of that food. So we want to make sure that we are, spacing out your nutrients, not just trying to fit it all in. This is also why I don't love people like saving too many of their calories for at night. I'm okay with you like eating a little bit more of a larger meal in the evening, because again, we don't want to be eating in a stressed state. That's why I actually made a post yesterday about this. Don't shovel your food in if it's better for you to wait until later, but also don't make it to where your meal is so big in calories and volume that like you feel like you have a food baby. Okay, like you got to know your stomach is not meant to expand that much. And I'm not even going to get into all of the hormones and the process of digestion. I really just want to give you guys some strategies here. Okay, so root cause number 1, we talked about stress. Root cause number 2, we talked about eating habits. Okay, one more root cause, and this is one that y'all are going to push me back on, because I know that a lot of you guys are, but I'm trying to lose body fat. You are under eating. You are under eating, and you don't even realize it. Here's the deal. If you have body fat goals, okay, or body composition goals, and you are trying to lose body fat, you have got to get yourself into a place of being crystal clear on the goal and go all in on that goal for a short period of time. Like, you are all in on this goal, because when you are chronically underfed for a very long period of time, that is going to lead to more gut dysfunction. That is going to lead to more metabolic dysfunction. Now, it's one thing if you have a considerable amount of weight to lose and you have a lot of body fat, your body's not going to react as bad as if you have a little bit. But the chronic undereating is really bad for your body, really bad for your body. In fact, I would say even if you do have a lot of weight to lose, because your body still is going to get these signals of like, hey, I'm underfed. Being in a deficit should not be undereating. And undereating is not just about calories, okay? It's also about, if you're somebody who's like, I'm going to save calories for later in the day, that's under eating, because you're likely getting hungry earlier and you're telling yourself you shouldn't eat then because you got to save them for later. That is the stuff I'm talking about. Under eating isn't also just calories and eating throughout the day. It's also the type of food you're eating. Are you actually getting enough nutrients, right? I see this all the time. Women that come to me either on a low carb diet or they've been tracking macros and they're not getting enough nutrients in. Okay, you need to be getting nutrients in. Your digestion requires nutrients. There are a lot of nutrients that you're going to get that you can surely hit your macros having protein shakes and pizza, but that doesn't mean you're going to get enough nutrients. And this is stuff that's going to cause gut dysfunction. Gut dysfunction does show up in other areas too, especially if we're going to talk about that. Okay. In fact, that's where I'm going to go into next, because I have next note that I wrote down was symptoms of gut dysfunction aren't just bloating. Okay, so you might be somebody who's like, but I don't really get bloated, or maybe you're like, but I go to the bathroom regularly. You might, but maybe you're not going enough. Like, I went to the bathroom regularly. I was going every single day, poop like clockwork, but clearly wasn't going enough. So, and it's not just bloating. It shows up in other areas that you might not even see. So if you're like not really paying attention to your gut, you're just kind of dealing with it, but you're also experiencing things like skin issues, maybe brain fog. A big one, ladies and men, if you are on any kind of HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and you have poor gut function, you are also not getting all of the benefits from the hormones, and the hormones might be negatively impacting your body. Okay, because You need a healthy gut to clear excess estrogens. Like there are things that are going on under the hood that you need to address. Okay. I think this is something that gets so underrated when looking at hormone replacement therapy. All right. Another one that I wrote down that I think is really important for a lot of you guys, because a lot of you that follow me are doing CrossFit, maybe high rocks, maybe triathlon, endurance training, marathons, whatever. Okay. Y'all are athletes. I love it. I freaking love it. That probably has the hardest impact on your gut. And for me, this is where I had gotten so used to feeling the way that I did that I didn't even realize that my gut has been like under a chronic state. And it literally took my gut having a complete freak out to realize how I've been living with like low grade gut inflammation for a long time. And a lot of it is because I do train a lot of intensity and eating on autopilot, making sure I'm getting enough calories. Like all of that stuff puts stress on the body. We need to understand how to work with it. So here's where I'm going to help y'all out. Okay. So that's going over like some of the symptoms and the root causes. How do we fix it? Okay. In order to fix your gut issues, you don't need to remove foods. Removing your foods is not going to fix the issue. It's going to alleviate the symptom. Okay. In order for you to fix your gut, you have to fix the environment. You have to fix the digestive environment, the digestive state that your body is in when you are taking in nutrition. And this is a long-term process, okay? My gut freak out happened in the beginning of April. It is June now. I feel like I am just getting to a place where I'm somewhat regulated. And I'm still dealing with a lot of symptoms. I'm still having issues like low HRV. I'm telling you, my gut had a freak out and it impacted everything systemically. So, but you have got to fix the environment. Yes, removing the foods initially, if that's what you choose to do, is going to help make the environment a little bit safer. It's going to remove some of the inflammation. It's going to remove some of the stress. But removing the foods is just they're just going to come back if you don't fix the environment. Okay. So this means a couple of things. Number one, you need proper nutrition to support your gut. Now, this is also really important to talk about. Proper nutrition to support your gut isn't about avoiding foods. It's about food diversity, making sure that you're getting enough of the different types of foods that your body needs, that you're, again, eating at regular times of the day. You're regulating that. You're looking at your eating habits, making sure that you're not eating all of your meals at night. Also looking at that snack habit. Are you someone that's snacking all the time? You want to make sure that you are eating slowly. These are all the things that are going to support gut function. I know that you want to hear eat these foods to heal your gut or take these supplements to heal your gut. That's not going to help you. You have to make the environment better. So it's kind of like you have a garden, right? And maybe you want to make it, maybe there's a bunch of weeds and all this stuff there, right? You can surely throw some weed killer down and pluck the weeds out. But if you don't fix the soil and you don't address the upkeep, it's just going to keep coming back. You have to take care of the environment. All right. So that's number one. Number two is, as I mentioned, eating in a relaxed environment. Number three is some other things that are going to help you as I'm kind of talking about. I don't want you to think I'm selling you a bunch of supplements because I'm not endorsed by any companies, by the way, is if you do have underlying gut inflammation, leaky gut, whatever you want to call it, gut dysbiosis, any of that stuff that, people are going to sell you 5 million different protocols on, you just might need to take some digestive enzymes and maybe some stomach acid support and a betaine HCl. Those two supplements, I will say, can be very helpful in just creating a better environment for digestion. I don't think you need a bunch of probiotics or prebiotics. I think that all of that stuff you can mostly get from your food. And in fact, if you have gut problems, I would not recommend just jumping on a probiotic without knowing what you have going on with your gut first. Okay. And again, I don't think you need to go take a bunch of tests. I think you need to listen to what your gut is telling you. If you think your gut is off, listen to your gut. All right. And then the other piece of the environment is your nervous system. You have got to stop filling every second of your day with shit, right? I know you feel productive. I know you feel like when you have spare time, you should get things done, but you need to be relaxing. And also, if you're a CrossFitter or a functional fitness athlete of any type, high rocks, if you're doing any kind of endurance training, Spartan races, okay, recovery is not going in and doing skill work and doing low intensity cardio. Like, you need to actually shut your body off sometimes, like, and actually not do anything. Okay. So I think it's really important to be looking at all of these different things when we're talking about fixing the gut. Kind of scrolling down on my notes here because I started to get ahead of things. All right. So I think that that's pretty much the main thing that I want to talk about, but I want to talk about specifically my experience now with what I've been doing and how I did things and why I'm actually sharing this with you because I'm a big believer in, like, again, I looked at all of these different diets. In fact, the carnivore was one of the first diets that came up, and I'm like, oh my God, do I really want to go on an all meat diet? Ugh. And I love protein, but I love my carbs. And I love things like, my sugar-free sweeteners in my coffee. And I'm like, do I really have to remove that? I'm like, seriously? And I didn't want to remove anything. So here's kind of how I dealt with a lot of my gut issues over the last 12 weeks. And like I said, it's been a slow grind. Some days are better than others. But here are the big key things that I changed myself personally is number one, I stopped working out first thing in the morning. Instead, I regulated myself first. So I sat down with my coffee. I do get a little bit of work done. I kind of have now used that as like my 1 hour productivity. And I know that not everybody has a schedule as me. Okay. So my suggestion is if you're someone that has to get up and go to work right away or go to workout right away, that you take a few minutes after your workout to regulate yourself. So if I was to change anything differently, that would be one thing that I do. But for me, the early morning workouts, I think were creating more stress because I was rushing to get it done. And that's a good point is even when I'm talking about this, I don't want you to think that you have to change your workout schedule. But if you feel like your workout timing is creating stress, like it's giving you anxiety, because that's what it was for me. It was becoming stressful for me. I changed it. I was like, I need to go into this in a less stress state. And I think part of it was I was slightly underfed. I was eating about 3,300 calories a day, but I just don't think it was enough. And I think that my body was waking up and like wanted nourishment. And I was like just having a quick snack so I could get into my workout. And I think that my body was like, no, like we need to regulate first. So that's why I had to change things. So I don't want you to think you have to change your workout timing. I'm just telling you that what worked for me was recognizing that going into that first session, feeling like I was hungry and needing to eat was not the right thing for me. Okay, so just think about that. Number two, I was so used to eating volume, large meals, and I had been eating that way for a long time. I had to trust that I didn't need to eat that much volume at a sitting because that was how my body had gotten used to things, and I had to decrease the stress on my body. So until I could slow myself down with what I was eating, I significantly reduced the volume of my meals and increased the calorie content of them. Now, I am not in a fat loss phase. I am in maintenance, and I was just looking to regulate. And I will be honest, if you're dealing with stomach issues, you should address the stomach issues first because funny enough, a side effect of all of this was I did end up losing a few pounds. So I would say if you're listening to all of this and you're like, but I'm trying to lose, tell yourself it's okay to eat at maintenance right now and address the gut because that's going to actually make fat loss a lot easier. So I lowered the volume of my meals and it was a little uncomfortable at first because I was like, am I going to be hungry? I don't know. I just shifted a few foods around. And number three, I already kind of mentioned this, but I stopped drinking water, any kind of fluids with my meals. I still drink my sugar-free drinks. I still drink my sodas, but I do not drink any of that stuff while I'm eating. I might sip on something if I feel myself a little bit thirsty afterwards, but I stopped drinking all of those fluids with my foods and I just left it at that. For me, I had to increase calories a little bit. This was also hard to trust because my gut was telling me I was not hungry. It was a weird feeling to feel like I could eat, like mentally I could eat, but physically everything made me feel like crap. I was like, I don't even know what I feel like eating right now. And that's going to go and bring me into my next one. But like I allowed myself to eat more calories and that meant adding more calorie dense foods, which made lower volume easier. So I did things like switching from egg whites to eggs, adding more avocado in, adding in some Brazil nuts, things that would support like thyroid function. That's really what I did. I added more nutrients in, which was kind of lead me into the next one. I completely changed how I was eating, in that it wasn't about removing foods, it was removing the pressure around food. This sounds so stupid, but I don't think you realize how much pressure in the back of your head you might have around foods, whether it's, for me, it was making sure I was eating enough throughout the day because I didn't want to undereat. That was adding more stress to my body because a couple things were happening. I was forcing myself to eat at times when I was under stress because I was afraid of not getting enough nutrients in. But I've been so busy that I had just kind of fallen into a rut with my food. And while I enjoyed all of my meals, I was eating the same meals on repeat. And I was eating so mechanically at the time. I wasn't recognizing how my body was just like, it was in essence like rejecting foods. Like, I think I was developing not food sensitivities or intolerance, but just like my body wasn't feeling it anymore. And when I just started to, I would wake up and I'd be like, what do I feel like having? And I wouldn't judge it and I wouldn't think about anything. I'd be like, okay, that's what I'm having. Like, so for instance, when I switched from egg whites to eggs, I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to get enough protein. But I'm like, you know what? Let's just see what happens. And guess what? I'm getting enough protein because my body figured it out at the end of the day. Like, and I never obsessed over macros. My macros, in fact, I had to like kind of look at ways to add some macros back in because I was a little bit under, but my body figured it out and I was never under on protein. So it's helped me so much. In fact, like last night, because I track my food, but I don't focus on macros as much. I just track my food because I know I'm getting enough at this point. Like last night when I came home, I didn't want protein. I didn't. All I wanted was a sweet potato with some peanut butter on it. That's all I wanted. So that's what I had. Like, and when I looked at my protein numbers for the night, I was still at 150 grams of protein. So it's like your body is really good at figuring things out. And I had to trust that. So I completely changed the way that I built my meals. Yes, I still try and get balanced meals. I'm not always just eating a sweet potato and nut butter, but I had already had 3 or 4 meals that day and they had significant protein in them. And my body, I think, had known it had gotten enough. Like, I think that's really, truly what it was. So I think that it's really important to just like learn how to listen. And that's also why, funny enough, I teach my clients to be intuitive and intentional, right? That's why I track my food, but I wasn't being intuitive. I was telling myself I was being intuitive because I was eating like when I was hungry, but I wasn't eating intuitive based on what I wanted. I was eating still in a place of scarcity and wanting to make sure I was getting enough food, and for a lot of you guys it might be being worried about getting too much, so you always default to the same meals over and over again. I'm a creature of habit. There's nothing wrong with eating the same meals on repeat, but if you're dealing with gut dysfunction, change it up. And I'm still eating a lot of the same meals on repeat, but I'm not eating the same meals every single day. I'm adding in some variety throughout the week. I'm eating a lot of the same staples. Like, I'm still eating sweet potatoes every day, but just changing some things around, like different vegetables, not just defaulting to green beans. So it's just, I'm eating eggs every day, but I've just changed from what I was eating for years. And that's where I think that diversity doesn't need to be every single day, every single meal. It's just listen to what your body wants. Like maybe it wants a bowl of cereal. Maybe it's like there's things like that that you're just not listening to yourself for. So I don't know if this helps you guys. I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I really changed. I wish I could say my sleep was better. That's probably the one thing that's still really rough. But I did go to the doctor yesterday, and hopefully we'll get some answers on that. But I really wanted to focus on the gut stuff today. And if y'all have any questions about gut stuff, gut testing, or anything like that, just let me know. I would love to connect with you because let me be honest, I was basically like told to get all these different like GI maps and this and that. And I still do have a test that I do need to get done for SIBO, which I'm going to be honest, from what I understand, like I'm going to be honest, a lot of us probably have that shit, especially if you're a high achieving female. But the thing is, it's like, again, going into, well, how do I fix it? It's the same stuff. It's the same things. You got to fix the environment. So, and you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on testing and supplements to do that. You don't have to remove a bunch of foods. It's truly, I think the biggest needle mover is your eating habits, how you're eating, getting enough nutrition, and also looking at the state of your like stress levels while you're eating and making sure you're mitigating that. So hopefully that puts you guys' mind at ease, that you don't have anything completely wrong with you, but I will be honest, if you're not addressing the gut, you're leaving a lot of results on the table. So make sure that you are addressing your gut function and doing it in a way that supports obviously your training. So I think that sometimes for a lot of y'all, when you cut out all of these foods, you start under eating. That's not going to be good for your gut. So we want to make sure we're doing both. And if you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know. But I'm going to go ahead and sign off. See y'all later.